Sri Aurobindo, Mira is my refuge. Namaste. Good morning. Welcome all of you. Today the topic of discussion is Nirvana and Sri Aurobindo. The topic of discussion for today is Nirvana and Sri Aurobindo. It is a very nice topic. Most of the people will be interested. They will be questioning to know what is the position of Nirvana and what is Sri Aurobindo saying and how he was passing through. A man's outer activities one can describe, but who can say what goes within? One can say who can say the life of the spirit? Sri Aurobindo once said regarding all these questions. It has not been on the surface for men to see. Then here we can go to the only recount what he himself had said. Actually, Sri Aurobindo had come to a stage when he felt he wanted further guidance in this sadhana. So he had a letter. He knew of the Vishnu Bhaskar Lele, the yogi Vishnu Bhaskar Lele, and wrote a letter regarding this guidance and got the flash of intuition. Go to Baroda. You have to give intuition to a very great soul. So it was materialized. Sri Aurobindo writes about Nirvana. For 3 days he stayed alone with Lele in a small room. Then what happened in 3 days, it has been described by Sri Aurobindo's own words. Sit down, Lele told me. Look, and you will see that your thoughts come into you from outside. Before they enter, fling them back. This was the instruction from Lele. Then Sri Aurobindo once again writes, thoughts will come. They are actually fling them back, just fling them back, and you have to be vacant. This is the initial situation. Sri Aurobindo further writes, I had never heard before of thoughts coming visibly into the mind from outside. Thoughts coming visibly from outside, I had no idea. And I did not think either of the questioning of the truth or the possibility. I did not have the idea, I did not know. I did not think even. I simply sat down and did it. It was possible. In a moment, my mind became silent as a windless air. Mind became silent as a windless air on a high mountain summit. Then I saw one thought, then another coming in a concrete way from the outside. The thoughts are coming when the mind is silent. I flung them away as per the advice of Lele. I flung them away before they could enter, and in 3 days I was free. Imagine great sadhus, rishis, they are performing years, even decades of sadhana, even lifelong or many lives of sadhana, but not able to catch it. But Sri Aurobindo speaks, within 3 days I was free. My mind became full of an eternal silence. My mind became full of an eternal silence. No thought, nothing was there to disturb, nothing could enter inside. Therefore, then he again describes a series of tremendously powerful experiences. They made me see with a stupendous intensity the world as a cinematographic play of vacant forms in the impersonal universality of the absolute Brahma. This was the glorious explanation by Sri Aurobindo. Powerful experiences. Then Sri Aurobindo again quotes, what is brought was an inexpressible peace that can't be expressed. A stupendous silence, a stupendous silence, an infinity of release and freedom. It came inside because mind was totally vacant. It was there to achieve, nothing was there to disturb him. Then Sri Aurobindo remembers about it was this condition, the intense experience of the silent Brahman experience, that a few days later he went to Mumbai. We went to Bombay. That time it was Bombay, now itself Mumbai. From the balcony of a friend's house, he saw the myriad activities of the city. Entire activities from the friend's balcony he was observing. In the whole busy moment, its whole busy moment of Bombay, as a picture in a cinema row. Already he has written, it has been written in a cinematographic play. And unreal and shadowy, all unreal and shadowy. He describes the beautiful, in the Nirvana, in his sonnet. The sonnet name is Nirvana. For indeed his experience of Nirvana. The city, Bombay, a shadow picture without tone. The city, a shadow picture without tone. Floats, quivers unreal, forms without relief, flow, a cinema's vacant shapes. Like cinematographic style, things are going on, things are flitting back. Then Sri Aurobindo speaks of very nice things, silence speaks. Now another most moving experience came. Another experience is also coming. While in that silent condition, he has invited the Bombay National Union to address a meeting. He was invited by Bombay National Union to address a meeting. How was he to deliver the speech? He has to give his mind became blank, really blank. Nor could he refuse. He could not be able to refuse, and he was so prominent and popular leader. But Lele told him to accept, saying he would be so all would be well. He had to accept, but mind became vacant. So what happens? He tells us what happened then. I asked Lele, what should I do? He asked me to pray, and I was so absorbed in silent Brahman consciousness. That consciousness, silent Brahman consciousness, became silent and got absorbed in that silent Brahman consciousness. I could not pray. So I said to him that I was not in a mood to pray, because Lele's advice was to pray. Then he replied that it did not matter whether you are able to pray or not, be silent. He and others should pray, and I had simply to go to the meeting and make namaskar to the audience of the Narayana. Our audience will be sitting there. Sri Aurobindo had to go. He had to speak nothing. He had to think nothing. He has to express nothing. Simply he has to stay and say namaskar or pranam. The audience, namaskar to the audience as Narayan. As we pray and go to the temple and we worship Narayan and say audience as the Narayan. Then some voice would speak. Nothing to speak. He has to sit. He has to make the pranam. He has to aspire. Then a voice will come and that will start speaking. I did exactly as he told me, and all at a sudden something spoke. It's the voice from inside that started speaking. It was the first experience, another glorious experience he is talking of. Then speak. He's about his speech. Try to realize the strength within you. Try to realize the strength within you. Try to bring forward the strength which is there inside you. Try to bring forward, so that everything you may do may be not your own doing, but the doing of the truth within you. When the force is there, it has to come out, and your job you have to concentrate upon it and to bring out. Then that force. Everything you do may not be your own doing. You are not doing, because it is done by the Supreme, whose spark is inside you, and doing of that with truth within you that is hiding. Because it is not you. Once again, Sri Aurobindo quotes, because it is not you, it is something within you that is hiding, that is in divine inhabitant inside you, that is the spark of the absolute, it is there inside you. What can all these tribunals, what can all these powers of the world do that which is within thee? They don't know. Nobody can reach it. You know that, that this is actually immortal. It is untouchable. It can't be touched. Nothing can touch or nothing can see her, because it is inside you. It has been described as the no bigger than the thumb of a man. Still in the steel course, it can be, as we know in the initial hours, initial Puranas and all, everything it has been described. Neither this fire can burn it, or wind can't blow throw it, nothing can be done. But still then it is there. Sri Aurobindo quotes it, harboring the brilliance of a transient soul. It can light up, that lights up birth and death and ignorant life. Life a harbor where the sea is very much seen. It is visible, you can see it. Like this, it is there inside the spark of the divine, but we are unable because we have not that power to see it, to analyze it, to touch it, to express it. That immortal, the unborn and the undying one, that has been described beautifully, the immortal, the unborn and the undying one, whom the sword can't pierce, whom the fire can't burn. Just now we have clarified the things. You, the immortal, the unborn, the undying one, whom the sword can't pierce, whom the fire can't burn. These have been better described in the Vedas we have seen. Then comes the another thing, that is the divine guide within. This realization of the silent Brahman, that realization was so powerful. As Sri Aurobindo speaks, that silent Brahman consciousness was so powerful. Finally, Sri Aurobindo says, finally Lele was made by a voice within him to hand me over to the divine within me, and enjoining the absolute surrender to his will. Two things were there. It was the advice of Lele, that to hand Sri Aurobindo over to the divine within him. Second one is to enjoining the absolute surrender to his will, to this divine will. So surrender comes the most. It must be with this surrender he has to be handed over. Then Raleigh felt there is no need to give Sri Aurobindo the further instruction, because he has realized the silent Brahman experience. He knew that he could rely fully on the inner divine guide within, because he has been surrendered, he has been consecrated, he knows. He needs no human guru, so the divine guidance is best for him. The absolute silence remained within forever. But then, what is his work? Sri Aurobindo says, I had the realization of Nirvana first. Then come the experience of action, not my own, but from above. Then also, once again, by this liberation, one becomes free from the ego. He will be freed from ego. There will be no ego there. One becomes the instrument of the divine force. Then, in the condition of the absolute inner silence, I carried on a daily newspaper and made a dozen of speeches in the course of 3 or 4 days. Just imagine, he was afraid of, he was not preparing to speak a little, but dozen of speeches in the course of 3 or 4 days. Then Sri Aurobindo comes, this full participation in political activities returned to full participation. For him, life became the field of the divine. God was the leader of his political awakening, and it was God who was working in for the fulfillment of his own purpose. It was not he who was doing. All the things were done, spoken, action, everything was carried out by God. Sri Aurobindo felt that something else than himself took up his divine activity. Something else is doing his acting, guiding, and taking care of all his dynamic activities. And spoke and acted through, that is completely not him, something else. He gave many powerful speeches all the way down from Bombay to Calcutta, conducted by many conferences in Bengal. It was prepared. He felt he was not doing. Everything is done. The guidance coming from the innermost spaces of his heart. On 30th April 1908, in Muzaffarpur, there was an attempt to throw a bomb to the district magistrate, but Sri Aurobindo had no hand in it. It was the blessing in disguise that he was doing. On 1st May, several revolutionaries were arrested, and this was the thing. It was prepared. It was a starting moment to go forward. Things once again, I want to repeat it. For him, life became a field of the divine. God was the leader of his political awakening, and it was God who was working for the fulfillment of his own purpose. Imagine how his life was going on, where he was getting the guidance. Thank you.